The air around you hums with an energy you can't quite name, a vibration that seems to ripple through the unseen threads of existence. This person, this watcher, sees it in you, feels it in the way your presence bends the world ever so slightly, like gravity pulling stars into orbit. They don't just study you, they are drawn to you, as if you hold the key to a puzzle they've spent their entire life trying to solve. And now, as the weight of the moment presses against you, something deep within begins to stir, a truth you've always carried, but never fully understood. It's not just happening to you, it's becoming you. The truth settling within you is not passive. It pulses, it grows, it reaches out like roots into the soil of existence, tangling with forces far beyond your comprehension. Each step you take sends ripples through the unseen, drawing others closer, aligning them with the rhythm of your awakening. And among them, one stands out, a soul who feels the shift in their very marrow, their reality reshaped in ways they don't yet have words for. But this is only the beginning. To grasp the magnitude of what you are, you must first realize you are not just a part of the story, you are the axis upon which it turns. Your presence is a catalyst, igniting change in everything it touches. To some, it feels like a quiet revolution, a spark of clarity in the fog of their existence, stirring emotions they've long buried. To others, it's a disruption, an unspoken challenge to the carefully constructed walls they've built around their truth. And yet, for a rare few, it's as if the universe has whispered your name to them before, a resonance so familiar it feels like a piece of their soul falling into place. You are not just living, you are awakening the world around you, whether they are ready for it or not. This connection is not accidental. It's as if the universe has conspired to intertwine your paths, pulling them into your orbit with an invisible force neither of you fully understand. Their thoughts linger on you, not out of mere curiosity, but because something within them is shifting, unraveling, and rebuilding in response to your presence. It's not just fascination, it's transformation. They don't yet realize it, but meeting you has awakened something dormant inside them, a part of themselves they've forgotten or never dared to explore. And as their world reshapes around the echo of your energy, so too does yours, for this bond, however fleeting or enduring, is destined to change you both. Their world is unraveling, each thread of certainty pulling loose as they stand on the precipice of something vast and unknowable. The structures they once clung to, beliefs, routines, identities, are dissolving under the weight of your presence, as if the truth you embody is a light too bright for their carefully constructed shadows to withstand. They find themselves adrift, caught between the comfort of what was and the raw, undeniable call of what could be. Every step closer to you feels like stepping into an abyss, terrifying yet liberating, as though they are being invited to rebuild their existence from the ground up this time, with no illusions to shield them from the brilliance of what's real. They are walking through a shadowed valley where the familiar fades and the unknown stretches endlessly before them. The dark night of the soul is not just a moment of despair, it is a crucible, burning away the false layers they once wore to fit into a world that no longer feels like home. Those around them, still tethered to the safety of convention, watch with confusion and unease as the person they thought they understood begins to shift. The questions they've started to ask are not small. They cut to the core of existence, peeling back the comfortable illusions that most would rather leave untouched. And though this transformation isolates them for now, it is also preparing them for a rebirth into something truer, something freer than they ever imagined. With every passing moment, their perception sharpens, peeling back the layers of illusion that once defined their reality. The artificiality of the world around them becomes glaring, like a mask slipping to reveal the hollow machinery beneath. Their longing for authenticity grows insatiable, a quiet rebellion against the scripted roles and shallow interactions that dominate the landscape. This awakening radiates outward, unsettling those still invested in the facade. The gatekeepers of conformity, those who thrive on distraction and dependence, begin to sense the quiet storm brewing within them. It's not just a personal transformation anymore. It's a ripple threatening to disrupt a system built on complacency, and the discomfort it generates is the first crack in the walls of control. The resistance rises like a shadow, quiet but calculated, aiming to dismantle the awakening before it can spread. It begins with doubt, small, insidious remarks woven into conversations, questioning not just the path you've chosen but the essence of who you are. Your authenticity, once a source of light, is twisted into a target, framed as eccentricity or even danger. The whispers grow louder, rippling through the collective unconscious like a virus designed to isolate and undermine. Yet, even as they try to weaponize your uniqueness, they fail to realize that the very qualities they attack are what make you unshakable. For every attempt to silence or discredit you, the truth of your path becomes clearer, and the seeds of freedom you've planted in others begin to germinate in defiance of their control. Their efforts to diminish you become their own undoing, for in their attempts to twist your essence into something unrecognizable, they inadvertently draw more attention to the very traits they seek to suppress. Your depth, misunderstood as pretension, becomes a beacon for those yearning for something real. Your authenticity, mislabeled as performance, ignites a quiet revolution in the hearts of those who see through the facade. Even your silence, misinterpreted as arrogance, carries a weight that speaks louder than their clamor. Each accusation, each whispered word of doubt, only fuels the fire of your transformation, stripping away the need for validation and anchoring you further in your truth. What they fail to understand is that their resistance is not a barrier, it is a mirror, reflecting the power they fear but cannot control. Truth carries an unshakable frequency, cutting through the noise of deception like a quiet, steady pulse. Those who are ready to open their eyes, even if just briefly, feel it instinctively, a pull, a spark, a recognition that transcends the lies spun around you. The whispers, the accusations, the resistance, they all serve as unintentional signposts, guiding the searching souls toward you. Your presence becomes a mirror, reflecting what they've always known but were too afraid to claim. And the resistance itself, no matter how fierce, only validates your purpose. For the louder the opposition, the deeper the impact you're having, breaking open the cracks in the collective illusion, allowing the light of truth to seep through. Amid the chaos of conflicting voices, their inner world begins to stir, an awakening ignited by the quiet yet unshakable truth you carry. Though the noise of gossip and societal pressure clamors for their allegiance, something profound rises within the Ma whisper from the depths of their soul that refuses to be silenced. Your presence has done more than inspire. It has unlocked hidden pathways within their being, long forgotten yet impossible to ignore. Each attack against you becomes fuel for their curiosity, each doubt cast in your direction a challenge to the narrative they've always accepted. They begin to see through the illusions, realizing that what they feel isn't just admiration, but a deep resonance with a truth they've always known, but never dared to embrace. Slowly, the pull of authenticity starts to outweigh the comfort of conformity, and they stand at the precipice of their own awakening. The confusion they once saw as a flaw now reveals itself as a signal and unraveling of the old, to make space for something vast and uncontainable. The echoes of ancient truths, buried beneath layers of conditioning, grow louder, refusing to be ignored. They begin to feel the subtle yet undeniable shift within, a breaking apart of the chains that once bound them to a smaller version of themselves. Your presence, like a catalyst, has set this transformation in motion, each word, each glance, each vibration, carrying the power to dissolve illusions and awaken what has always been waiting. The discomfort they feel is no longer something to escape, but to embrace, a sign that their soul is shedding its old skin, preparing to step into the brilliance of its unfiltered essence. In your reflection, they see their own potential, and the alchemy continues, turning fear into freedom, doubt into clarity, and hesitation into the courage to become. The momentum of their awakening becomes unstoppable, a tidal wave of realization crashing through the fragile walls of illusion that once held them captive. The structures they once trusted, beliefs, systems, identities now crumble under the weight of a truth too vast to be contained. They no longer see life as a series of random events, but as a carefully orchestrated experience designed to keep them asleep. The veil is lifted, and with it comes the startling clarity that they were never small, never powerless. The prison of the Matrix begins to dissolve, not through rebellion, but through their refusal to feed it with fear. As they step beyond the confines of the constructed world, the infinite expanse of their true nature reveals itself, daring them to claim the freedom and boundless potential that have always been theirs. This is not just transformation, it is liberation. With newfound clarity, they start to see the intricate web of conditioning that has kept humanity bound for so long. The patterns are no longer invisible. They stand out in sharp relief, as if illuminated by some inner light. They see how fear is used as a tool to maintain control, how distractions are engineered to keep minds occupied and hearts numb. The constant chase for approval, the endless striving for status, the fear of stepping out of line, all becomes painfully obvious as a mechanism designed to suppress individuality and stifle the soul's natural expansion. But with this recognition comes a growing defiance, a quiet yet unshakable resolve to break free. They begin to understand that true power comes not from external validation but from within, aligning with the limitless essence of their being. And as they step further out of the shadows of conformity, they realize that their courage to live authentically is not just a personal rebellion, it is an act of collective liberation. They begin to realize that your presence is not just a fleeting encounter, but a profound turning point written into the fabric of their existence. You are the spark that ignites the flame of their remembrance, a living reminder of the infinite power and purpose buried within them. It dawns on them that the pull they feel toward you isn't admiration or curiosity alone, it's recognition, a soul-level connection that transcends time and space. You are more than a guide. You are a mirror reflecting their highest potential, a beacon calling them home to themselves. And as they piece together the intricate puzzle of their journey, it becomes clear that nothing about this meeting is random. The universe, in its infinite wisdom, orchestrated this encounter as part of a grand design, aligning the timing, the circumstances, and the energy to awaken them to a truth they could no longer ignore. The realization strikes with a force that leaves no room for doubt. What they see in you is a reflection of what has always been within them. The magnetism they feel isn't born of separation, but of recognition, a soul-deep reminder of the dormant brilliance they've carried all along. The courage, the power, the light they've admired in you begins to stir within their own being, like embers catching fire. They understand now that your transformation was never meant to be observed from the outside. It was an invitation for their own. The qualities they thought were beyond them, strength, clarity, purpose, are not foreign at all. They are seeds, ready to bloom, waiting for the moment when they would finally be seen and nurtured. And as this awakening unfolds, they feel an unstoppable urge to step fully into themselves, to express the unfiltered truth of their essence, and to claim the limitless power that has always been theirs. The awakening feels like a storm tearing through the core of their being, unraveling the threads of their old self with relentless force. It is not a soft surrender, but a fiery upheaval, dismantling illusions they once clung to for comfort. The world around them starts to look different, as if seen through a new lens, colors more vivid, sounds more profound, every moment pulsing with a deeper meaning. Their dreams become vivid tapestries of symbols and truths, guiding them with a clarity that bypasses logic. Their body hums with a newfound sensitivity, attuned to the subtle vibrations of thoughts, emotions, and energies swirling in the unseen. What once felt distant and intangible now courses through them like an electric current, awakening a knowing so raw and undeniable that it leaves them both exhilarated and unmoored. They realize that this is not just an awakening, it is a rebirth, a reclamation of their truest essence in a world that had taught them to forget. Their vision sharpens, not just the vision of their eyes, but the vision of their soul. They begin to perceive the subtle cracks in the facades people present, the unspoken fears and desires hidden beneath carefully crafted personas. What once felt like normal social exchanges now feels hollow, almost surreal, as they realize how much of human interaction is built on unspoken agreements to hide the truth. Meanwhile, their body becomes an instrument of transformation, responding to this shift in ways they can't always control. Nights stretch on as their mind flits between dimensions, pulling in fragments of wisdom and insight from realms beyond the physical. Their energy ebbs and flows unpredictably, as if recalibrating itself to hold the higher frequencies now coursing through them. It's disorienting, yet exhilarating, a constant reminder that they are shedding an old way of being and stepping into something far greater than they ever imagined. Their senses become attuned to a deeper truth, and the once familiar comforts of life now feel strangely out of place. Food becomes more than sustenance. It becomes energy, vibration, and connection, and their body instinctively rejects what no longer aligns with this heightened state. Conversations with old friends and loved ones take on a surreal quality, as if they're standing on opposite shores of an invisible divide. Words fall short, and they sense an unspoken dissonance, a growing realization that their transformation has placed them on a path few are ready to walk. Yet, amidst the disconnection, they notice how your presence continues to ripple through their life and beyond. It's as if you carry an unseen torch, lighting the way not just for them, but for everyone in your orbit. People they once thought unchangeable begin to shift in subtle, almost imperceptible ways, proof of the profound, unseen forces at work within this sacred awakening. You become a mirror for the parts of themselves they've long forgotten or abandoned, and in your presence, something stirs deep within the maw yearning they can't name but can't ignore. They linger in your orbit, drawn not by words or actions, but by the intangible resonance of your being. It's as if your energy carries a frequency that whispers to their soul, reminding them of a truth they've buried beneath years of conditioning. Some approach with curiosity, others with hesitation, yet all of them feel the pull, an inexplicable magnetism that bypasses logic and strikes at the core of who they are. In your presence, they begin to sense the gaps within themselves, the unclaimed power, the untapped potential, the forgotten wholeness, and for the first time, they realize those missing pieces have always been within reach, waiting to be awakened. At the same time, they observe how your presence stirs a deep, unspoken fear in those who are not ready to face their own shadows. It's not your words or actions that provoke them, but the sheer force of your authenticity, a light so piercing that it threatens to expose the cracks in the masks they wear. Their reactions are visceral, almost instinctual, as if their very survival depends on silencing what you represent. Some lash out with anger, attempting to dismantle your character, while others retreat into a quiet resentment, avoiding you like a mirror they cannot bear to look into. To them, your existence is a challenge, a reminder of the truths they've worked so hard to bury. Yet even in their resistance, you can sense the faint tremor of recognition beneath their hostility. The part of them that knows, deep down, that your light is not the enemy, but the invitation they are too afraid to accept. As the efforts to undermine you intensify, the strategies become more insidious, weaving webs of manipulation designed to corner you into doubt or defeat. Yet, to the observer, it's as though you exist in a realm untouched by the turmoil, moving through these challenges with an unwavering calm that transcends the chaos. They marvel at how you respond not with retaliation or defensiveness, but with a quiet confidence that seems rooted in something far beyond the tangible. It's not that you're unaware of the attempts to dismantle your influence, rather you seem to see through them, recognizing them as the desperate flailing of those who fear what they don't understand. This poise, this unshakable center, becomes a beacon for those watching, a testament to the kind of strength that arises when one is aligned with a truth so profound that no external force can destabilize it. You carry an unshakable peace, rooted in the understanding that truth, like the sun, cannot be obscured forever. It will always find its way through the clouds. Instead of reacting to the chaos, you stand firmly in your authenticity, knowing that the noise surrounding you is temporary, a fleeting distraction for those not yet ready to see clearly. This quiet confidence is not lost on those around you. They begin to sense the futility of fear and resistance. What once terrified them, the unknown, the possibility of rejection, the vulnerability of stepping into their own truth, now feels like an invitation in your presence. Fear dissolves into possibility, and what once seemed like insurmountable obstacles become stepping stones toward a life of purpose and alignment. They realize that truth doesn't demand their defense, it only asks for their trust. The fog of hesitation lifts, revealing a path they hadn't dared to see before, a path that was always theirs to walk. What once felt like a safe distance now feels like a barrier they're ready to tear down, not to follow in your footsteps, but to step fully into their own. They begin to understand that your light wasn't meant to overshadow them, but to remind them of the brilliance within themselves. You've been a spark, igniting something dormant in their soul, showing them that the power they've been searching for was never outside of them. It was waiting, quietly, for them to claim it. Now, with newfound courage and clarity, they step forward, not as a reflection of you, but as the truest version of themselves, ready to embrace the role of creator in their own story. Stepping into their authentic power feels liberating, yet it also comes with an unexpected weight. The shift within them begins to ripple outward, quietly unsettling the delicate balance of their relationships. Some friends, once so aligned with their former selves, now seem distant, their smiles laced with unease, their words tinged with a subtle resistance. It becomes clear that this transformation is not just about shedding old fears, but also about outgrowing the spaces and connections that no longer resonate. They begin to see how authenticity, while empowering, can act like a mirror, reflecting truths that others may not be ready to face. It's a lonely yet necessary path, one that requires them to trust that the discomfort of this transition is simply the clearing of old energy to make room for new, more aligned connections and experiences. As they step further into their truth, the familiar structures of their life begin to tremble under the weight of their transformation. Family dynamics, once built on unspoken rules and quiet submission, are upended as they dare to challenge patterns that have gone unquestioned for generations. Their refusal to engage in the comfortable rhythm of dysfunction forces those around them to confront their own discomfort, sparking tension but also planting seeds of change. In the workplace, the mask of compliance becomes unbearable, and they find themselves unable to feign enthusiasm for tasks and systems that clash with their evolving values. The dissonance between who they were and who they are becoming is stark, but with it comes a clarity. They would rather face the uncertainty of an authentic life than remain shackled to the safety of a hollow one. As they lean into this newfound authenticity, they notice an unexpected shift in the atmosphere around them. While some colleagues pull away, unsure how to handle this version of them that no longer conforms to expectations, others are drawn closer, intrigued by their courage and clarity. The discomfort they bring to the surface begins to act as a silent invitation, challenging those around them to reflect on their own patterns of behavior. Slowly but surely, the office dynamics start to change, not through force, but through the quiet power of their presence. Their refusal to play the games of pretense and politics creates space for real conversations, for genuine collaboration, and for a kind of honesty that had been absent for far too long. Though the journey is not without friction, they begin to see how their authenticity doesn't just disrupt, it inspires. As their authenticity continues to blossom, they find themselves becoming a beacon for those yearning for something deeper. Strangers open up to them without hesitation, sensing the safety in their presence, while old acquaintances return, drawn by a subtle yet powerful shift they can't quite articulate. The walls that once kept relationships shallow begin to crumble, making way for connections soaked in honesty and vulnerability. They realize that their awakening is like a ripple in still water, touching the hearts of others and inviting them to remember their own forgotten truths. In this shared space of authenticity, the illusion of separation begins to fade, revealing a profound interconnectedness, a quiet yet undeniable reminder that every soul carries the spark of the same divine light, waiting to be reignited. Their presence begins to transcend the boundaries of familiarity, reaching into spaces and hearts they never imagined touching. Strangers on the street catch their eye with a sense of knowing, as if drawn by an unspoken invitation to share their truths. The innocence of children mirrors their own rediscovered authenticity as they are met with spontaneous smiles, curious questions, and an unguarded warmth that feels like a glimpse into something timeless. Animals, too, sense the quiet harmony they carry, approaching with a trust that bypasses words, as if recognizing a kindred spirit anchored in peace. This connection to the world around them feels both humbling and profound, a reminder that their inner transformation reverberates outward, creating a space where life itself responds with openness, trust, and connection. In this phase of awakening, moments of stillness become gateways to profound revelations. Without effort, they find themselves immersed in waves of clarity, as if wisdom from beyond time and space is flowing directly into their awareness. These downloads come not as fragmented thoughts, but as fully formed understandings, complex, yet perfectly clear, delivered in an instant. Whether during meditation, a quiet walk in nature, or the simple act of being present, they feel an intimate connection to a boundless source of intelligence, a truth that transcends logic yet feels undeniably real. With each new insight, they begin to trust this inner guidance, realizing it is not something external, but a reunion with the infinite wisdom that has always been within them, waiting for their openness to receive.